Very, very good evening to my channel. This is Arunava Chaudhary, and my name is arunfoot here on my YouTube channel. And it's a little different than usual because I will be joined, and I am being joined by two guests. Yes, I didn't announce it in any way, but we spoke and we thought we should come together and speak about the latest in Indian football. Yeah, the day after India Singapore, and I have to say that I slept very badly. I'll be very honest. I don't know about you, gentlemen. Thanks, Nilanjan, for joining. Thanks, Hiren, for joining.
Welcome.
We've spoken. A lot of people were speaking today on the phone, even people I have not spoken to for quite a while. And yeah, it is. What's the feeling? What's the vibe, Nilanjan? If you want to start. You are someone I know. You and I are in the same boat. I have had the pleasure of traveling with the national team a few times in my life. You as well. You know certain dynamics as well, which are certain people are trying to tell us who've never been with the national team. So I think, what's your feeling? You know a lot of the players as well personally.
Well, utter dejection, disappointment. We have lost 6 years, and that too, there's no guarantee of us qualifying for the 2031. 27 is history. Means it's gone 2031, which is 6 years from now. There's absolutely no guarantee that we will qualify given the situation which we are in. I was just joking with my wife back home, 16 December 2020, the date I still remember, 16 December 2020. The then AIFF was visionary enough to bid for to host the 2027 Asian Cup in India, which is now in Saudi Arabia. The Honorable Minister for Sports and Youth Affairs, MYS, Sri Kiran Rijiju ji, Sri Praful Patel ji, the then president, and it was the first ever uh, press conference across all formats, not just in sports, in India post-COVID, hosted by All India Football Federation at the Meridian. Gaurmangi Singh was there, Shubho Sarkar was there, Ashalata Devi was there. And that's how we did it. Some around 17 to 18 journalists. So maybe they were kind of foresightedness from Mr. Patel that this team won't be able to qualify. We gave away that chance. It's known to everyone, but that's what it is.
And it's crazy. Before I come to Hiren, just you mentioned a name who I think a lot of Indian football fans will have forgotten. Shubho, he went to the FC Bayern World Squad and couldn't go, and then went the year after, played for Sudeva in the I League. Even I did commentary on that. I remember with Shadadru, and I saw him play 2 matches of the I League. Then he went to Mohun Bagan, played for the reserves, and I don't even know where the boy is, right? And he was a social media superstar. So these are, when we hype up young players, this is what happens, and this is another, reminder of that. And Hiren, what's the feeling? What's the vibe? Because we speak on and off, rather more on than off, on a regular basis. What's the feeling? आज का feeling क्या है? हाल क्या है?
फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल हेलो टू एवरीवन एंड फीलिंग जैसे आपने स्टार्ट में बोला और निरंजन सर ने भी आज आई थिंक ट्वीट किया था आई थिंक एवरी फुटबॉल फैंस के लिए इंडियन फुटबॉल फैंस जो पैशनेटली फॉलो कर रहे हैं उसके लिए कल का रात मतलब स्लीपलेस नाइट था एंड मेरा भी सेम था ऑनेस्टली मतलब वो आप कोशिश करते हो कि आप जो इतना जल्दी हो सके उतना भूल जाओ उसको उतना ज्यादा वो ना हो बट आपके बैक ऑफ द माइंड कहीं ना कहीं वो गेम घूम फिर के वो चीज फिर से आ ही जाती है कि व्हाट हैपन एंड नाउ नथिंग इज लेफ्ट जैसे सबने बोला 6 साल के लिए अब ऐसी कोई चीज नहीं है आपके लिए और एटलीस्ट फॉर नेक्स्ट 2 इयर्स तो आपके लिए नथिंग टू फाइट फॉर मतलब आपके सारे मैचेस बेसिकली इट्स अ फ्रेंडली सो आई थिंक वही सबसे ज्यादा सर डिसअपॉइंटिंग चीज है और मैंने यहाँ पे एक चीज मैं बोलूंगा कि हम यहाँ पे कोई भी कंट्री को आपका कैसे मतलब अगर आपसे पूछा जाए फॉर एक्स वाई जेड की एक कंट्री है आपसे पूछा जाए कि भाई इसका आपको अगर फुटबॉल डेवलपमेंट को यहाँ पे एसेस करना है तो कौन से पैरामीटर होंगे कि जिससे आप मतलब एक दो पैरामीटर की जिससे आप बोलेंगे कि हाँ भाई हाँ ये कंट्री में फुटबॉल में कुछ कर रहा है या फिर ये फुटबॉलिंग नेशन है दो ही चीजें हैं एक तो आपका वर्ल्ड कप एक दूसरा एशियन कप ये दो टूर्नामेंट क्या ये लोग खेल रहे हैं मतलब अगर अफ्रीका का होगा तो अफ्रीका का नेशन यूरोप का होगा तो क्या यूरो खेल रहा है तो उससे आपको पता लगता है कि हाँ भाई ये वर्ल्ड लेवल पे फुटबॉल का एक जो हम चाहते हैं स्टेटस कि हाँ भाई ये फुटबॉल में अच्छा कर रहा है तो अगर वो 2 टूर्नामेंट आप नहीं खेल रहे हो तो फिर तो मतलब आपके जो सारे दावे हैं फुटबॉल डेवलपमेंट के वो गलत ही है, या फिर यहाँ पे आप लोगों को बेवकूफी बना रहे हो। कोई भी स्टेक होल्डर XYZ, कोई भी प्लेयर, कोच, AIFF क्लब, कोई भी XYZ जो भी सिस्टम से साथ जुड़ा है, ये बोल रहा है कि हम फुटबॉल में कुछ कर रहे हैं, एंड इफ यू आर नॉट अचीविंग दिस, देन व्हाट इज द यूज सर, व्हाट इज द यूज। एंड सबसे डिसअपॉइंटिंग चीज ये है कि 2015 में आप 16 टीमों का एशियन कप क्वालिफाई नहीं किए थे, इस बार आप 24 टीमों का नहीं किए हैं, एंड 24 टीमों का अगर आप एशियन कप तक क्वालिफाई नहीं कर पा रहे हो, देन तो फिर खत्म ही है ना। सो आई थिंक दिस इज द लोएस्ट पॉइंट। आई थिंक एटलीस्ट मैंने जब 2010 के बाद से, जब से मतलब पर्टिकुलरली 2014 के बाद ज्यादा आईएसएल के बाद, उसके बाद तो ये मेरे को ये लोएस्ट पॉइंट लगता है। आपके हिसाब से आप दोनों का भी मैं जानना चाहूंगा कि इज दिस द लोएस्ट पॉइंट वी रिच्ड, और इससे भी पहले हम यहाँ पे खराब दिन देख चुके हैं, या फिर इससे भी ज्यादा भी खराब हो सकता है?
Very, very true. I taken one of the first comments from Renal. Says Arunda, people got a new word, revamp the system, saying like it's easier to change in a finger snap. It's not going to happen that easily. The only thing we need now is a good leadership and rest follow. Yeah.
ये भी इतना
agree more.
नहीं, ये भी इतना इजी है बोलना जितना रिवैम्प बोलना इजी है कि चेंज द लीडरशिप। होता है क्या लीडरशिप चेंज?
नीलांजन को पूछो ना, वो तो लीडरशिप था ना।
I was always someone who was executing. I was never the leadership. The leadership during my time was brilliant. Was much visionary. They knew what Asian football was, what world football standards. When there were small steps taken for the Indian football for the first time ever in the history, people may agree or disagree. For us to reach that level, it takes time, but we were on the right track. And then came a kind of with a vendetta and a vengeance. Some people, all of them started hugging each other. Arunavo was there during those days. And now no one speaks to anyone. All of them are in different. One is North Pole, South Pole, East, West, North, and South. That's it. That's what has happened. They have destroyed it with vendetta, not been able to rebuild it, because they did not bring in the competent human resources. The administration is in shambles, and it obviously will be reflecting on the field.
बट माय सिंपल क्वेश्चन आप दोनों से मैं जानना चाहूंगा, क्योंकि आप सिस्टम में काम कर चुके हो। एज अ फैन, जैसे हमारा भी रिएक्शन आ रहा है, आपने देखा होगा सोशल मीडिया पे फैन आर डिसअपॉइंटेड एंड वो सब कुछ है, बट जो आप जैसे आप बोल रहे हो जो AIFF में लोग है या फिर जो सिस्टम में जो लोग है, डज दे फील दिस बैड अबाउट दिस फेलियर, और उनके लिए भाई दिस इज जस्ट थिंग, और थिंग्स आर यू कैन से कि हैपन एंड चलो भाई मूव फॉरवर्ड हो जाते हैं? मेरे को नहीं लगता कि वो इतने ज्यादा यहाँ पे, चाहे वो नेशनल टीम हो या फिर इवन AIFF हो या फिर इवन क्लब हो, दे इतना ज्यादा उनको ये आई वुड से कि झटका लगा है कि भाई हम एशियन कप नहीं जा रहे हैं।
I think there are two sides to that, because the biggest problem which happens in these cases, there is generalization, right? And we cannot brush everyone with the same thing. I know Nilanjan also knows a lot of people who care about Indian football. We know that there are good people in the system or have been in the system, but they are not in leadership positions, right? So the problem is, and we have multiple examples. Best example to me is, when Stephen Considine was there, he always used to get criticized. We only realized after Stephen left, and not only just after he left, but 3, 4, 5 years later after he left, what he built over 2 stints, not one. A lot of people forget the first one was even more important. Because I remember when I met Stephen in London in 2001, when he said, you know what, I've coached Nepal, I want to come to India. The desire that was there to try and change, right? And he's gone to bizarre places and tried to do stuff. Look at his results with Rwanda. Look at what he's tried to build, even in a country like Pakistan, with all their problems. The PFF is a non-existent federation, right? Look at the gentleman Nilanjan used to work under. How much stick Praful Patel, or especially a Kushal Das, has gotten. Ridicule that Kushal has gotten. But Kushal knew, my main task is to keep the system running. We can all dream we will go to the moon or whatever. We will go to the, going to the moon for Indian football means going to the World Cup. But to keep Indian football, the system alive, ensuring that everybody who's in the system gets their salaries, that the leagues are running, right? Not only Kushal, but I also give a credit to Shunanda Dhor at the time as well, right? They used to ensure, giving also Nilanjan credit about how he used to handle the media team, right? Has to be given credit. Sorry, yeah. Again, nobody realized the work that you guys used to do. And by saying we will do this, we will do that, and that's easy. Even I can say, oh, you know what, I will get 1,000 crores for Indian football. I will get us to qualify in the next World Cup. Easy to say. But Indian football's biggest problem is implementation. I was lucky. I saw the bubble league of the I-League. Again, I had the luck that I was there for 3 weeks to be part of the commentary team. I saw that these young boys and girls who were there to organize the thing. Again, this was not ISL. The ISL was doing it on a different level, on a different scale. Credit to them for that as well. But people were trying to keep the system alive, right?
Sure.
And they were, again, Mr. Steemach sold us a dream. I criticized it 2 years ago. Hiren, you were part of those shows. I criticized it because I saw against Lebanon, Kuwait, SAF, championship, semi-final and final. We were not that good. The problem was always there. But we've also seen that with the right coach, these players are not the best in the world, but you'll get 10-15% extra out of them. And we'll not get 20% of their capabilities. That's the small difference. And if we don't realize that, if the right people are not in the right positions, nothing will change. And all stakeholders, if not all, but most stakeholders need to come together and work together. Simple. Sorry, Nilanjan, if you want to add.
That is the biggest missing link. नहीं, just add to one point there, sir. आपने जो बोला ना कि all stakeholders need to come together. आप देखिए इतना बड़ा आपका crisis है, but still all the parties don't want to work together. They are just thinking about themselves. So I think that is the biggest missing link, and that's why at least I don't see the better things at least in near future, because जब तक ये चीज आप साथ में मिलके आप पहले accept ही नहीं कर रहे हो कि हाँ भाई ये problem है, and हमें साथ में मिलके इसका कुछ solution निकालना चाहिए. If you see clubs are busy with their leagues और अपना वो लीग बचाना है उनको, ताकि उनका जब बचा रहे, AIFF अपनी पोजीशन बचाने में लगा पड़ा है कि भाई हमारा टेन्योर खत्म हो जाए तब तक चलेंगे. नेशनल टीम अपने में यहाँ पे लगा पड़ा है, कोच और सब. So how can you expect कि भाई आपका यहाँ पे प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व होगा जब साथ में कोई आना ही नहीं चाहता स्टेकहोल्डर?
And the other thing is, yes, we brought ourselves to this situation, right? Especially on the field. What was very surprising is over the last 6 years since 2019, the lack of responsibility and onus on behalf of the players. None of the players ever wrote an apology or apologized to the fans after missing out on the Asian Cup. None of them. They just do not care. Why couldn't they? The superstars of the world in each sport, it may be, always connects with the fans. Here, connecting with the fan is a taboo. Oh bhai, baat hi nahi karni hai fans ke saath. Arey yaar, chhoro yaar fans. The attitude of CR7 and the football, which is kind of Nilanjan Datta level, that's what is ruining. And all of this would be forgotten the moment the social media and the Instagram reels of Super Cup, I'm not against the Super Cup at all, are out. There would be hyped commentary from commentators as if this is the best league in the world. Always inflated kind of people fall for it. All that glamour and the hype and the hoopla. And every fan group would be forgetting it. I'm not saying that you need to be turning your face away from your respective or favorite clubs. Not at all. But the bigger picture is not there. And all those talks of why is Indian football not a brand? The ROIs which the money is being pumped in by all the corporate entities, they won't be getting any minuscule percentage of ROI from the ISL league or the domestic structure at all. It's not being explained to the owners. And what will happen is you can only get substantial returns, chances of getting substantial returns only if the national team does well. That's when the new targeted audience comes in. That's when the sponsorship comes in. That's when the money flows in. The ranking rise, the entire football ecosystem holistically moves forward. but we are all pulling down the national team. We are hell-bent on pulling down the national team. Each and every one. The fans do not care. Speak to media all over the country. They do not care. Maybe they say, "Arey, football to jeetta hi nahi hai. Kya hai Nillu? Tu chhod de yaar." I spoke to some people, old friends. They were pinging. I called them up. They called me up. Some on the over the ping. And I said, "Arey, chhod yaar, football hai. Kuch nahi hai. Buddha ban gaya hai tu. Aur zindagi mein nahi hone." So we have brought ourselves to this situation. As Aruna rightly said, Igor sold a dream. And as much as Igor utilized the players utilized Igor. Post 2019, in the name of getting independence from Stephen Constantine. We all mistook him. We all misunderstood him. I put up my hand and say, Coach, I misunderstood you. I misunderstood Stephen as well. And I had a chat with him and we laughed it off. Okay, no problem. But I understood, and we all at that time felt, oh, he's such a strict disciplinarian. Obviously, the players need space. He shouldn't be controlling each and everything. He was like people said he was the control freak. He wanted to do each and everything, but because he did that, sheltered all of us, shadowed, never allowed the shadow to fall on the Indian football. We are progressing. And people have problems hearing Stephen's name for understandable reasons. They say, "Are kisko khela hai?" He never picked any opponent. He did not get around 57 to 60 matches which Igor got. He went into the first match against Oman without an international friendly. He went into the match against, Nepal in Guwahati without an international friendly. 7 debutants in that match, including Sandesh Jingar, including Eugenson Lingdu at that age. He was that brave. And I only regret that had Stephen been here in this situation, I'm not against Khalid at all. Many of those under 23 boys would have got their baptism by fire. Whether they have succeeded or not succeeded would have been a different story, but you need to try. I put in a tweet today the average age and how many matches people have played. Since 2019, it's only being promised. हम खेलेंगे, there's potential in the dressing room. मैं भी बहुत बार लिखा potential in the dressing room. What rejection? Oh no, sorry.
No problem, no problem. I mean, that's I think there is a level of frustration also that people like us have, who've been, been there, done it, seen it, and that's the problem. And and the issues are on multiple levels. I think the problem, it starts at the leadership of the AIFF. We still don't know when the tender is going to come out regarding the league. I have said to a friend who asked me on Friday last week, what is the likelihood of the ISL or top division league, whatever you want to call it, happening? And I said, jokingly, I said 1%. Right? Maybe, that funny comment is most probably more reality than anything else. The likelihood that a league is going to happen is minuscule at the moment. And on the other side, I-League 2, I-League 3. I-League 3 was finished last year by this time. What is happening with the women's, right? Okay, they have to announce a tri-nation for the women. So that's a good step. But where is the IWL? The IWL was supposed to start in September. So all of this, but again, it's a financial matter. Suddenly it is a financial matter, and the AIFF is not getting also the government support that it needs to be able to do the things that it needs, right? So therefore, these are all basics. And then we go on. What are the clubs doing? A lot of the clubs are focusing rather on their first teams than rather being clubs, right? I mean, the struggle at the moment in and around Mohun Bagan Supergiant is a very, very good example that Mr. Goenka and his people just say, you know what? We want to win the ISL. We want to be competitive in Asia, but then you don't even travel in Asia whenever you have to travel to Iran, and nobody knows why you don't travel. The academies, again, the coaches in India don't question themselves. That's another big problem that I see with our coaches, that all of them think they're bloody Pep Guardiolas and Jurgen Klopps, and I don't know what they are. And you've produced this rubbish that is on the field and off the field as well, right? And it's not a matter of today. I go back to a conversation I had with the late P.K. Banerjee and the late Chuni Goswami in England 25 years ago when the Indian team was in the UK. And those two guys used to say, oh, we did this, we did that, blah, blah. The players today are so bad, this and everything. It's like, so what's your role? Are you being mentors? Are you trying to help the players to get better and explain to them what their weaknesses are? No, you're just telling them that they're bad. And this is a generational thing which has gone on and on and on and on and on. The world has moved on. right? The world has moved on. Football has become totally different than it was in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, to 10s, 20s, even in this year 2025. If I see that in German football, that we have had a revolution in 2000 and then evolution in the 2010s and another revolution at the moment happening at youth football. We've had none of that in Indian football, right? I always say a program which was very important, club licensing, right? Academy licensing, which even people, sensible people at clubs have criticized. If you like it or not, those are some of the small steps taken in Indian football which have helped Indian club football in the long run. Not everybody can be part of the system, right? And the other thing that I've been fighting for the last 24 years, nobody will talk about it, and then it will crop up once in a while, is players of origin. It solves your problems in 1 second. Carlos Quadratis called a complete squad for Philippines of overseas born, right? Singapore is a mixture of overseas naturalized players. Yeah. People are talking about Cape Verde, right? Most of the players are foreign born, right? They're origin players. Cape Verde as islands would never qualify for a World Cup. So these are all factors which we need, if you want to talk about, realities. And that is what, we know what the problems are. Not only amongst us three, I think a lot of the people listening to us at the moment. Yeah, sorry, Kiran, please.
नहीं बट सर द क्वेश्चन इज दैट ना कि प्रॉब्लम पता है आपको, आपके पास सॉल्यूशन भी है कि आप कैसे आपकी नेशनल टीम को शॉर्ट टर्म के लिए अपलिफ्ट कर सकते हो, लॉन्ग टर्म के लिए आपका क्या प्लान होना चाहिए, आपका एएफएफ में क्या होना चाहिए, लीग में क्या होना चाहिए, ग्रासरूट में क्या होना चाहिए, बट आप करते तो कुछ नहीं। दिक्कत यही है, घूम फिर के बात ही वही आ जाती है, करना कुछ नहीं है, बात करने से क्या होगा, बात तो हम जैसे लोग करते हैं, बट जिनको करना है उनको। और एक एक जो पॉइंट आपने बोला ना, वो आई थिंक मेरे को लगता है कि इंडियन फुटबॉल जो मैंने जो नोटिस किया है, मे बी आई एम रॉन्ग आल्सो, कि हमारे यहाँ पे मतलब मैं 80-90% स्टेक होल्डर्स की बात कर रहा हूँ कि वो एक इंडियन फुटबॉल के बबल में ही रहते हैं। मतलब उन्होंने स्टार्टिंग से उन्हीं में रहे हैं, काम भी यही किया है, देखा भी यही है, और बस यही है उनके लिए फुटबॉल। आई थिंक जो जैसे आपने बोला ना, वर्ल्ड फुटबॉल आप देखिए ओवर द इयर्स इतना चेंज हो चुका है। तो आपको जो अभी वर्ल्ड फुटबॉल की जो जिस तरह की यहाँ पे रिक्वायरमेंट्स है, उस हिसाब से हमने अभी अपने आप को, चाहे वो कोई भी ले ले, आप एआईएफएफ हो, क्लब्स हो, प्लेयर्स हो, कोचेस हो, कोई भी ले ले, उन्होंने अपने आप को उस तरह से ट्रांजिशन नहीं किया है जिस तरह से करना चाहिए। सो आई थिंक वो भी कहीं ना कहीं आपका एक बड़ा हर्डल है कि आपके पास वो न्यू आइडियाज नहीं है। कोई बाहर की सिस्टम से अगर कोई बंदा आता भी है तो फिर आप उसके साथ एडजस्ट नहीं हो पाते हो।
Very true, very true. But we're talking about these issues, problems, and we know the problems and the issues. How do we get out of this? Nilanjan, what's the way out? Otherwise, we let's record this 15th of October 2025. We meet in 10 years. We'll have the same conversation. What needs to change? What can be changed?
Same.
ये तो क्या बोले, 3 इडियट्स जैसा है, मिलेगा 10 साल बाद, मिलेगा आएगा, वो तो उस टाइप का वो बात धरुना हुआ इससे ही। See, there are two solutions. One is long term, one is short term. The long term solution, everyone is aware, everyone knows, but no one bells the cat. Very rightly said by Hiren bhai. I call him superstar. No one bells the cat, as simple as that. And currently, with the current regime of the AIFF, you cannot even expect in the next 8 to 10 months whatever will happen. And next, the elections come in, how much money we do have with the tenders coming in, no idea at all. The other part is the short-term solution. Obviously, when we look at, unfortunately, the benchmark of any federation, not just the AIFF, will always be the, what do you say, the results of the national teams. The other national teams have done well, but it's primarily the men's national team which is the kind of the face of each and every, what do you say, national federation all over the world who plays football. Despite our FIFA team, despite our women's team doing much better. So we need to come up with a solution, short-term solution on that aspect. Otherwise, these talks, this is a kind of a 20-year plan. This 20-year plan, can we be waiting for the next 20 years to do so? We cannot. We need to be doing at the 16, 17 level again, like the Arrows project, and very, very seriously. If you are doing it, you need to have an attitude of, okay, if I'm doing an under 16 academy, and if I'm able to scout it well with the great coaches coming in from all over the world, I'm not saying big names. We need to be better than the Iranian under 16 national team, the Japanese under 16 national team. Maybe you have 2 batches, maybe you have 3 batches. You need to kind of uh, break down India into maybe 45 probables for each and every age group, 16, 19, 23, and then you take forward. That's the short-term solution. And whatever the long-term solution is, everyone knows the administration, the youth, the district association, the state FAs, the clubs who have not really gone into the YDP in the real sense, only on licensing criteria it happens. Even the academies which are there, I speak to some of the coaches, it's like I bang my head, bhai, isse to mujhe zyada pata hai. No, this is absolutely true. I tell you a story. I won't take the name. I was chatting with, they were playing, and I was there some years back. And I said, okay, so the recovery session tomorrow and the match next day. So ice bath today. The coach did not know ice bath. I swear by my daughter, the coach did not know ice bath. He did not know ice bath. He's a professional pro licensed coach. He said, मेरे पास degree है, मेरे पास manual है. I know, are you a coach? हमें बातों बातों पे बोलता था. Nilanjan, you should not interfere. Are you a coach? He did not know ice bath, what ice bath is. Then पूछा, दादा ये ice bath है क्या? Ice bath के है क्या ना? Ice bath जो बोल रहा ice bath means मतलब थोड़ी क्या? Then I explained it to him. हाँ, कर सकते. It was me, the media officer, who went out and found out the diet was not right for the national teams. Okay, it needs to be changed because I'm only seeing my experience. I'm not an expert. People do not know it. I've seen coaches who had full-fledged dinner before going out to a match. Indian coaches. And when I said, the observer said, I'll put that in the report. Why are you putting that in the report? You should be addressing it today. Morning, you are telling me that, okay, dinner is at 4, means full-fledged dinner, and the match is at 7. I said, then after the match, क्या खाएगा? Glucose biscuit खा लेगा. I've seen such coaches, all pro-licensed coaches. So where now can we bring so many other foreign coaches in all these aspects to be going into the district associations, coaching them? As Arunova rightly pointed that we have not moved on with time, and it's only football in India. Each and every sport has moved ahead. The unthinkable Neeraj Chopra, I always rate the Thomas Cup victory as the most impossible thing which we have achieved. We are achieving everywhere. Every sport we have had individual sports. We have had Olympic champions or world champions. It's only Indian football. Look at the hockey team, back-to-back Olympic medals. Only Indian football. और ये किसके लिए हो रहे हैं? वही पुराने जमाने का हम लोग का थॉट प्रोसेस और कोचेस के लिए हो रहे, कुछ एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर्स के लिए. I'm not doubting their integrity, not doubting their dedication. I'm doubting their काबिलियत and their efficiency. And no one can bail us out. No one. You mean to say in the next 5 years we'll be bailing ourselves? No, because these people would be there at some way or the other. All state associations are defunct. All of those executive committee members who clapped when it was told after winning the 2022 elections in September 3rd or 4th, 2022, Indian football has been undersold. I was conducting the media interaction. We will be bringing 500 crores rupees per year. People clapped. Journalists clapped. The executive committee members clapped. Lovely. I said, is it that much? Lovely. I was very excited. Okay, can they? It was told in a very, aaj to paisa nahi hai. I asked those executive committee members, sir, did you ever question being in the executive committee? Why are you coming and confiding in me and saying कि वो जमाना बहुत अच्छा था, कहाँ चले गए? मतलब आपको तो सवाल पूछने के लिए बोला गया. Have you ever asked a question? No, you can't even ask a question in the executive committee. All of them, not most of them, all of them. Which has brought us to this situation. तो hope कहाँ से है? Hope आपको आनी है तो ground पे ही होना पड़ेगा. This is the harshest reality. People have absolutely zero clue what world football is. What the, as Hiren said, ki the Continental Championship and the World Cup, the leadership or the decision makers of the federation, are they at all appalled by the fact that Asian Cup haath se chala gaya? Had that been, the coach selection would have been done much earlier. It's a very, it's lying in
नहीं
the
नहीं
gutter, looking at the
नहीं नहीं
stars and
बट आप देखो ना, कोच सिलेक्शन का प्रोसेस क्या सही सही से हुआ? क्या जो सिलेक्शन प्रोसेस कर रहे थे वो बंदे कॉम्पिटेंट इनफ थे टू सिलेक्ट दी करंट यू कैन से कि मॉडर्न फुटबॉल के हिसाब से जो कोच चाहिए वो करे? फिर आपने जब कोच लाया उसका क्या आपने ये इंटरव्यू लिया? मैंने तो जहां तक सुना है उसका कोई इंटरव्यू नहीं हुआ है उससे। आई गारंटीड यू कि उससे ये भी बात नहीं हुआ होगा कि तेरा भाई प्लान क्या है। तो ये आपको दिखा दे। आप जब ऐसी चीजें चलाते हो तो रिजल्ट तो यही आएगा ना सर। क्या आएगा इसका रिजल्ट, क्या होगा वो?
and appointing club coaches for a national team where the spine of the club is being controlled and orchestrated by players of the quality of Javi Hernandez or a Jordan Murray or a Stephen Eze, even Manolo Marquez when he was there, he had an Ogbeche or Yao Mit was his name, right? I forget, Silverio was there, the others were there. I'm not very good at remembering names.
Uday was there as a centre back, both at
Yeah,
Hyderabad and
yeah.
And Nilanjan, I take that example now. I watched in January in Delhi, Punjab FC versus Jamshedpur FC. There were two players who made a difference. Javi Hernandez in attack, Stephen Eze in defense. Stephen Eze got a red card, didn't play 1.5 matches, 10 goals in 2 matches Jamshedpur FC conceded. Right? So this is the reality. And what I learned from Bob Houghton as well, and you know him as well, Nilanjan. Bob Houghton used to say the job of a national coach is to recognize and realize which player can play for a national team and is capable of playing at that level, because international football level is higher than club level. Even, he said, even in Europe or elsewhere, compared even to a Champions League or whatever it is, right? And he also said, there are players that you and I know very, very well who played very limited matches across the season for their clubs. But when they put on an India shirt, these guys were always there. And this is the point that I've seen with Igor, didn't recognize it. Manolo, to some extent, did not recognize it. Manolo misjudged certain players who he knew and saw at FC Goa. And Khalid. The biggest example of yesterday was, and this is happening not for the first time, Apuya. Any coach of the Indian national team who decides to play without Apuya Ralte in our midfield at this moment in time is not a coach to me. Because that is the only midfielder who has the capabilities of doing a little bit at least. And that is what I say, what I've learned from Bob or even from Stephen. As you say, Stephen was hard. Stephen was tough. It is not fun to be a player under Stephen Constant, even support staff. You have been there. You know that better than me. But the end result counts. Right? And today, I know I feel bad. You know what? Yesterday, they tried to some extent. Before that, we had given up before we even started playing football. Yesterday hurts more. I would have loved to have lost 4-0 and Singapore was all over us if they played like at home. But yesterday we tried. Changte scored an exceptional goal. We had 3-4 good chances in the first half to score a second. And then that 1-1, and somehow I felt it is over. For whatever reason, I didn't, that the song Yul Young's goal, defensive mistakes from us, but also the way that Singapore combined and got that goal scored. Because it was, you could see they knew where the players were. They were combining. They were playing. It was not by power. It was a placed shot. And this is the small, difference that I felt that it makes. So you have to understand. And on the players front, inconsistency. Another problem. As good as Changte was yesterday, I have not seen him play this good for India for a long, long time.
long time, हाँ.
right?
That is the one of the biggest issue कि आप एक मैच में गोल मारो, 10 मैच का आपका कोटा सिक्योर हो गया, फिर 11वें मैच में फिर से कुछ दिखा दो, फिर से 10 मैच आपका आगे का चल जाएगा. आपको, आप चाहे क्लब लेवल पे चलो आप थोड़ा सा भी वो कर लो, बट इंटरनेशनल लेवल में आपको साल में पूरे मिला जुला के 10 मैच खेलने हैं, और उसमें आप एक मैच में परफॉर्म कर रहे हो, तो आपकी नेशनल टीम का फिर आउटकम तो यही होगा फिर.
Some of the questions that I see, of course, are what changes are needed. One of the question, again, last of the questions, of course, is also Anurag asking, is coaching change an option? I don't think, I mean, normally I would say yes, but the AIFF, if I'm right, has signed a 2-year contract with Khalid with no exit clause. That is one. The AIFF doesn't have money, so that we have to also agree to that, even though I know that when Khalid was appointed, there was a certain high-profile coach who actually said, I'm willing to work for free. So, just to put it out there, right, with international experience. So these are the things that we are in. We need a
बट एक चीज नहीं, बट एक चीज नहीं, बट एक चीज सर मेरे को समझ में नहीं आ रही कि जो लोग कल से यहाँ पे सॉल्यूशन दे रहे हैं, उसमें आई एग्री कि यहाँ पे आपको थोड़ा सा टीम में चेंज करना पड़ेगा, कुछ नए प्लेयर आ सकते हैं, बट जनरलाइजेशन जो एक किया जा रहा है कि भाई आप सारे अंडर 23 के प्लेयर को डाल दो. माय क्वेश्चन इज कि आप सिर्फ प्लेयरों को चेंज करके आपको लग रहा है कि भाई सब कुछ चेंज होएगा. व्हाट अबाउट दी कोच फिलोसॉफी? आपका अंडर 23 के प्लेयर, जो अंडर 23 के कोच है, जो फिलोसॉफी की फुटबॉल वो खिला रहे थे, उसमें उनका जो रोल था वो डिफरेंट था. नेशनल टीम में आपका बिल्कुल उनका 360 डिग्री है. तो ये जो कोऑर्डिनेशन नहीं है कि आपकी जो यूथ फुटबॉल से जो प्लेयर आ रहा है और आपकी सीनियर टीम में जो यहाँ पे जो सिस्टम है, उसमें तो बिल्कुल ही वो सिनर्जी नहीं है. तो उसको कौन फिक्स करेगा? आप सिर्फ प्लेयर चेंज कर देने से क्या होगा? मैं ये नहीं बोल रहा कि प्लेयर चेंज नहीं होने चाहिए, होने चाहिए, क्योंकि अब आप आगे का प्लान करोगे तो मे बी आपके जो 34-35 ईयर के प्लेयर है उनको आप उतना प्लान में नहीं रखोगे. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर आपको प्लान करना है तो, जो कि होगा नहीं, बट फॉर एग्जाम्पल, तो फिर ये चीज को क्यों कोई डिस्कस नहीं करे कि सिर्फ प्लेयर ला देने से यहाँ पे अंडर 23 के प्लेयर आ जाएंगे और इसी सिस्टम में यहाँ पे सक्सेसफुल हो जाएंगे? ये तो मतलब बिल्कुल बेवकूफी वाली चीज होगी.
Hiren bhai, if I may, I agree and disagree to that a bit. The disagreement is, I coming to कैसे उसको address करनी है. Disagreement is, if you ask me, this is a personal opinion and it's a subjective matter. I would look at the squad of 2031 or 2028, late 2028, because that's when the next World Cup qualifiers start. And if I want to go into the World Cup qualifiers with a realistic chance of making it to the third round of World Cup qualifiers, the team needs to be changed right now, today, from the Bangladesh match. I do not care whether big names, Gurpreet stays or a Sandesh stays or a Sunil stays. We have had enough of everyone's experience and they need to be either told or left out. So there needs to be a discussion. Okay, boss, you are not fitting in the plan and I am not taking you. I am going ahead with Nilanjan Datta, who has zero experience of international football, is a 22-year-old. He may die, he may live, he may say, he may embrace the glamour out there, but that's what it is. Now, whose responsibility is this? Very, very extremely valid questions. What is the technical director doing for the last 5 years or 4 years? Sabir Pasha Bhaijan, very good friend of mine, great gentleman. जब कैफा नेशंस कप खेलने गए थे ड्यूरिंग आवर टाइम, देयर वाज एन ऑलवेज ऑब्जर्वर who used to travel with the Indian national team, see how the team match is playing. Obviously, there were discussions with Stephen, suggestions later on after the series ended or those matches ended. Who traveled for the CAFA Nations Cup? None. Even as we played against Goa, I believe the technical director was busy conducting a course in Kolkata. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Now, who gels the transition from the 16 to the 19s to the 22/23 to the senior? That's the job of the technical director. Sabir Pasha. Good player, brilliant player. He was a good, very, very crafty player during his days. He has coached, as he's been assistant coach to Colum Joseph Toll at the under-19 level, coached Tamil Nadu to a Santosh Trophy semi-final to lose to services in Odisha, which year I don't remember, 2012, 2013. Anyway, what is his role? He needs to sit with the coaches, especially with Musa Bhaijan and Khalid Bhaijan, and say, ki, okay, this is what, and Khalid, this is my plan. Why is the the director of national team,
national
Subrata,
team.
not being involved? Not being involved.
Hmm.
He is perhaps the sole one who has the knowledge of modern football of Asia and the world in the current setup of AIFF. He's not involved at all.
So
It's the responsibility.
Nilanjan, I'll give you a good example as preparations for the under-17 World Cup, right? Nikolai Adam and the team spent quite some time in 2015, 16, and 17 here in Germany. Abhishek Yadav, as head of the national teams, used to spend some time, and Abhishek and I used to watch, observe, and again, as a non-technical person, Abhishek used to ask me a lot of, again, we know each other for many, many years. I gave him his contract at Mumbai City as well and all. But Abhishek was there. And whenever with Nico, there was an exchange amongst those guys, and this and that and everything. And hey, listen, there are some players that maybe you should look at and try and integrate, right? Because that is what your role is. The problem is, Shubroto as well as I do, Mishtu, we know him since he's a kid, right? I know him since his TFA days, you as well. Is that technical experience there for him to be able to give have that conversation? Will Khalid even listen to it? That's my first thing, right? To start off. Even more with Manolo, or even if it was Igor Stimac or whatever. Our problem is that we need a technical director. Again, you've mentioned Pasha, who I also know since 2000, who to me is more of a technical director looking after the coaching license side of things. He's not involved in the national team side of things. So therefore, is there that person where he can have a conversation and tell Khalid, bhai, the way you're playing is not gonna work. If you, in the qualifiers, you will have to play to win your 4 matches, right? That's why yesterday hurts, because why? We tried. And I've said this yesterday as well during the match. To me, someone decided to play differently than Khalid Jamil football. I'm putting out this question. Who decided yesterday's strategy? Because that was not Khalid Jamil's strategy, which was played. And Nilanjan, you and I have watched enough Mumbai FC football and whatever football of his over the years. So the question here is, who's the technical head to play? We've had the issue of technical committee. Look at the way the technical committee and advisors of the president decided to put Khalid into this position. With all respect that I have for Khalid, but sorry, this is not a role for you, right? And we have done certain things right. Again, we go back to about 10 years back, right? A lot of things were done right at the time. But in the last 3 years, sorry, a lot of things have gone wrong. And yesterday was the culmination of all the mistakes that have been done over the last 3 years. Right? I saw 2 years back, under Bibiano, the under-17s here in Germany in Stuttgart. And I've seen since 2002 multiple under-17 squads. This was the worst that I've seen. Right? But this is now the backbone of the under-20s. So I already know I have a problem in the next 5 to 7 years. So my point is, and again, let me just, I have this past their prime. It's a very interesting piece of statistical work that Nilanjan you've done. But I think that we need to try and realize who could be our spine for the next few years and who can fill up the other positions. I think Gurpreet needs to be there for the moment. Gurpreet has proven, and that is an incredible comeback that he's made after Manolo snubbed him. I think Anwar Ali, let's forget all the scandals around him, but Anwar Ali, is our number 1 centre back. Puya is our best midfielder, and I would add Changte to that list. If I can make that my attack, my spine of the Indian national team, And then I've got 7 other positions to play around. And I will have to figure out by trial and error who is capable of filling those slots. Because also the problem is, if you look at those statistics of how many minutes the under 23s play at their respective clubs, we will be exposed because most of these boys do not play enough football. If Suhail Bhatt has played less than 300 minutes of ISL football in the last 2 years, and please watch Suhail Bhatt this season in the Calcutta Football League playing against a 42-year-old. I forgot which team he played against. He couldn't beat a 42-year-old, right? So it shows there is something in him, but he's not ready for that level. So how do we get that transition going? That is the challenge, right?
But my question is नहीं, but my exact question was that कि आप जो लोग बोल रहे हो ना कि ये ऐसे इतने प्लेयर को अभी जो करंट स्क्वाड है उसमें से रखना है, आगे कैसे ट्रांजिशन करना है, किसका काम है ये? आप मेरे को बताओ किसका काम है ये?
Technical director in consultation with the head coaches. It's that any transition from any age group teams to the next age group level, senior level, to that age group. So 16 to 19 next age group senior hota is always the job of the technical director. And Arunavo says that he's more into the coaching side of thing. That's very conveniently shying away from his actual responsibility. Because we have a director of coach education, Vivek Nagul, a very capable guy who's taking care of the coach education. You can go and assist. You can go and mentor Vivek, lovely. But the job of the technical director for which you are getting paid, Shabir Bhaijan, is something else. You are very conveniently he shied away. मैं तो coaching देख रहा हूँ. भारतीय फुटबॉल अब ना मुझे नहीं देखना है. तब आप कोच का एजुकेशन का डायरेक्टर बन जाइए. That's so if it again goes back to the leadership. Now does the leadership have the vision to say or understand, boss, you are the technical director, come and let's have a chat. Boss, what is your technical acumen or parlays or talks with the national coach of the transition mean? No, I was busy with the coaching courses. That's not your job. You can go there. I don't mind you giving your expertise, but your main KRA is the transition process, is to look at the scouting, is to speak to the coaches, is to fill in the plugs. Why are you not doing it? Who has a talk? None. Because the understanding of modern football or tactical football is zero. We are looking at a federation where the media team post 2022 was lying to everyone that the current president is an ex-international player. He isn't. I said, boss, how can you do it? No, we have been told we need to do it. By who? बहुत सारे लोगों के नाम लिया गया. So much so that when it's gone to the sports code, he's not eligible to contest. Now, eventually, hoega nahi hoga, that's different because he has not debuted. So those are the lies which are being sold. That's the mindset. And not every player who plays has a technical acumen to understand the development or the technical side of things. Not everyone has. And that wrong notion, not that a journalist understands everything, but at times the feedback of journalists are much better than some pro-licensed coaches who are just there on degrees. सीधी बात है. कौन सजाता है जाके लाल नील हरा पीला कौन सजाता है? बहुत बढ़िया डेकोरेशन होता है. हाँ, कुछ लोग असिस्टेंट कोचेस बन के ही रखे हैं. There are some coaches who are ambitious enough to take up the responsibility, challenging themselves. Some are very comfortable in the assistant coaches level of ISL. वो आगे नहीं बढ़ेगा. So how do we progress?
And Tana, hi Tana, welcome to the show.
Achha, Tana.
And this
my,
is a
my
very
ex-colleague.
good question. Yeah, very good.
My ex-colleague at AIFF.
Yeah, which brings me to the question: where are the next competent Indian coaches coming from? We talk of finding the next Sunil Chhetri, but what about the next great coach? Tana, very good question. And I think I always say, just one point, which I say is very important on this. Grassroots, youth football, coaching, competition, scouting. As long as we don't sort out these 5 things, we will not produce better footballers. And my biggest concern has been now for the last 2-3 years is whoever we play, it looks like we are tactically worse than anybody. Maybe except of the
anybody,
Maldives.
exactly.
That is the scary part. And the next great coaches, yes, who are the coaches to get an opportunity, right? It has to be in that batch of a Renedy, of a Miraj, of an Ishfaq, of a Clifford, of a Samir Naik. Those guys have played at the top level. They've been part of that transition. They've seen a lot. But these guys also now need to step up on the coaching plate, right? And that is gonna be the challenge for them, because they have also worked under experienced foreign coaches in the ISL, some of them. So that is one of those has to come up. But also we need to, what Nilanjan rightly also said is, it doesn't also have to be always a player with that kind of track record. Jose Mourinho was not a great player. Julian Nagelsmann didn't even make it pro. Thomas Tuchel did not even make it as a pro, right? So that is also, that pathway is not important, because, sorry to say, there is a lobby amongst the coaches who keep it amongst themselves also. That is also another problem that Indian football has.
I think the problem is, sir, कि कोचिस को वो मतलब जैसे हम पहले बात कर रहे थे ना कि ये लोग इसी सिस्टम में रहे तो इनका देखने का नजरिया भी एक ही तरीके का है कि इट शुड बी इंडियन. कोचिस शुड बी डिसाइडेड ऑन मेरिट भाई. उसका नेशनलिटी से तुमको क्या लेना देना है भाई. पहले तुम्हारे प्लेयर अच्छा करेंगे तो तुम पे रेफरी कोचिस और ये बाकी सारी यहाँ पे अपने इंडियन कोचिस को तुम कर सकते हो. पहले तुम्हारा प्लेयर ही अच्छा नहीं डेवलप हो रहा है तो फिर ये सब का क्या करोगे तुम. ये लोगों का क्राइटेरिया क्या है कि भाई इट शुड बी इंडियन. अरे मेरिट बेसिस पे लाओ ना भाई. जो इंडियन अच्छा है तो इंडियन को लाओ. फॉरेनर अगर अच्छा है उसी उसमें तो उसको लेके आओ.
Hiren bhai, the decision makers, Khalid, decision makers of AIFF, Khalid was put on the hot seat at the wrong moment. Khalid should have been the coach, if at all, for the national team when he got left. That would have given him more time, more understanding how international football works, because international football, you play 10 matches in a year. So, this tomorrow, yesterday, for example, मान लेते कि हम जीत गए, चांगते अच्छा खेला, ठीक है, महेश वॉज गुड. नेक्स्ट सेशन इन सितंबर में उनकी इंजरी रहेगा, वो उनका गेम टाइम रहेगा, कॉन्फिडेंस रहेगी, यू नेवर नो. So that's different. So had Manolo not taken over and had been given to Khalid, he would have got more time. Decision making from behalf of the federation. Second blunder, you appoint Manolo as a club coach to take over the national team. Absolutely failure. Absolute failure. Nice man, very good coach. But national team and club coaching are entirely different propositions. You commit the same blunder again, as Hiren says, quota system पे हमें इंडियन को ही देना है. चलो जी हम तो इंडियन को ही देंगे. And without any interview. And after Khalid's name was announced, Khalid was busy in the Durand Cup. उसका preference वहाँ है. I'm not blaming him. There wasn't even a chat कि आपकी रोड मैप क्या है, आपका पाथवे क्या है, आप क्या करोगे नेशनल टीम के लिए. You had two other coaches. If I was there part of the committee or heading the committee, I would have spoken to the two Stephen Tarkovic and Stephen Constantine. Got their brains, got their ideation, और मैं देखता हूं वहां से मैं क्या इंप्लीमेंट कर सकता हूं भारतीय फुटबॉल के लिए. आप नहीं पूछोगे, आपको तो पता ही नहीं है फुटबॉल, लेकिन आप या तो I would have had a chat with him. The committee would have had a chat with him. Okay, give me your plan. Maybe मुझे कुछ अच्छा निकल के आता. You never know, because they are technical people. आपको कुछ
But there was no conversation, na? Nilanjan, there was no conversation. I mean, Khalid said, okay, you've been appointed national coach, and then they had to work out the whole contract thing. I mean, it would have been funny, really, if he had turned down the contract because he said he wanted a contract for 2 years. And the AIFF, which I thought at the time was right to say, listen, I want to do a contract until the end of March. Next year, end of the qualifiers. So you have committed to a coach for 2 years, knowing that worst case, which happened yesterday, after 4 matches, you could be out of the qualifiers and you've got 2 dead rubbers to play in November and in March. And your cycle theoretically does not, I would have said your new cycle starts in June. You know what, play with the current team till March, and then in June, new national team, right? Trial and error. Let's see who's capable. Like what Stephen did in 2015, what you said earlier in the show. But the point now is, we are going to Dhaka. can we afford to send an inexperienced team to a hostile atmosphere and lose 5, 6, 7, 8-0 to Bangladesh?
कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है क्या लिस्टन कोलासो ब्रैंडन फर्नांडिस साल अब्दुल समद लालियांजुआला चांगते इवन अपुया क्या उधार लिया 2019 से हम बांग्लादेश के साथ हाउ मेनी मैचेस हैव वी प्लेड हाउ मेनी टाइम्स हैव वी बीटन बांग्लादेश आफ्टर द कतार मैच इन कतार he got second match we played in Calcutta we could not beat them in what do you say in in SAF in Maldives we could not beat them again with the same set of players, again with the same set of players in this Asian Cup qualifiers, they should have won. They couldn't put the ball into the net. हाँ, three open chances. तो क्या problem क्या है? मैं तो ये problem ही नहीं समझ रहा हूँ. Still, if I am a great Sunil Chhetri fan. I've seen him from the Delhi age. हाँ, जब छोटा था ममता मॉडर्न का बच्चा है. But आज के बाद और सुनील छेत्री का जरूरत भारतीय फुटबॉल का मैं बोलूंगा छोड़ दीजिए maybe have a farewell match for him later on but then also applies to other players you look at who will be at their prime as you very rightly pointed out in 2028 late 2028 November onwards and the 2031 the spine and back only them no one else. Make Gurpreet Sandhu the captain till 2031 or 2028 the long term captain and that's how we need to progress. Otherwise, nahi hoga. And the other blunder is without an exit clause. It cost the federation how much of rupees for Igor Stimac without an exit clause. Did they learn? Did they learn? Did they learn? No. Now, in the name of giving the coach a longish contract and saving the money, you are pulling down Indian football to 173 again. In the danger of pulling down Indian football to 173 again. आपको एग्जिट क्लॉज नहीं रखोगे हर कोई जगह में होता है और आप दोबारा यू आर कमिटिंग दिस मिस्टेक ट्वाइस लीडरशिप हम क्या बात कर रहे हैं so people are not at all concerned did obviously the legal team not pointed out to them that we need a legal exit clause I guess so obviously any legal team would be pointing it out to them और AIFF में तो इतनी legal expenses होता रहता है so legal होता है बहुत सारे वकील बच्चे जानते हैं वो लोग और वकील लोग भी मैं कुछ 2-3 लोगों को मेरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से बात करता हूँ वो लोग भी जानते हैं AIFF का चलता है
it's across levels Hiren please
नहीं बट एक छोटा सा पॉइंट मेरा यही है कि ये सारी चीजें हम सॉल्यूशन बोल रहे हैं बट इन सब में सालों में हम जैसे यहाँ पे बातचीत कर रहे हैं ये लोग ऐसे बात ही नहीं करते कभी साथ में तो क्या इनका वो सॉल्यूशन ये लोग कर पाएंगे कि भाई हमें कैसे
Hiren, there is a different problem. These people are moving from one crisis to another crisis.
That's the problem. ये कल का देखते हैं.
National team is not your priority. Your problem has been now for the last 1.5 years. No, since the time Shaji was released by the AIFF or fired by them, whatever it was. Since then, the AIFF has been in a crisis mode. It is, you are talking one thing, and on the other side, you are not doing what is needed. Youth leagues, right? The COVID hit Indian, Nilanjan, you were there at the time, COVID hit Indian youth football really badly. It affected Indian youth football really, really badly. You have not been able to start your youth leagues properly, expand the youth leagues, which is the need of the hour. Why are you unable to get the big football states to run proper leagues and then get into a national setup? Why cannot you have 8, 10, 14, 16 teams playing under 13, under 15, under 17 in, let's say, Bengal, in Goa, in Kerala, in Manipur, in Mizoram, 2-3 other places? And then, give the kids the number of matches. Why are we, and the other thing which I don't understand is national team and clubs. Why are our players not 4-5 hours on the field? They are spending too much time in the gym. I had legends at Mumbai City. 2 big footballers told me, I have spent in one day more in the gym than I used to spend 1 month at a big club or at big clubs. So if we are even at senior level, not the best with the ball, I need to work extra with the ball. And this is something where I don't understand. For example, Khalid in 2000, when India went to England, a Khalid Jamil, a Renedy Singh, a Jules Alberto used to spend an hour extra on the field. Renedy used to train corners. Khalid used to train free kicks like Jules. We used to play ball on the ground. Tum to kiya 25 saal pehle yourself. Why don't you implement it also?
And he was a good player. He was a good player. Very fighting player. Very fighting player.
Listen, I
You couldn't get past
remember
him without getting a tackle. Oh my
India
goodness. Good
versus
player.
Fulham. Nilanjan, India
I
versus
remember.
Fulham. 2-0 lost for India. Karl-Heinz Riedle, one of our heroes of Germany 1990, scored both the goals. And post-match, we were in the boardroom of Fulham. The late Noel Dalima came in and shouted at Suki, how can you play Basudev Mondol and not play Khalid Jamil? As good as Bashuda was, but in that game, he was playing against John Collins, the then Scotland captain. What is Bashuda going to do? Huh? And Khalid Jamil came in the second half and physically with Joe Paul Ancheri, deadly block in midfield. And I'm talking about John Collins, Scotland captain, Bjarne Goldbeck, who won the Bundesliga 2 years earlier with Kaiserslautern. We're talking of a level of players who we don't even play these days. Right? Luis Boamorte and whoever was in that Fulham team. Jean Tigana is the coach. So this is the sad reality of where we are. Yeah. Yeah. So this is, it is all possible, but it needs to happen at all levels. And my fear is, and that was also physically visible yesterday, the players need a league. They need a league. They need to be in the matches. One could see that also with FC Goa in the ACL2 and with Mohun Bagan.
You are absolutely right. But despite having a league since 2019, the players have elevated themselves to a league of their own, in their own inflated minds with override salaries. As simple as that. But yeah, we need a league. But how much they have benefited themselves from the league? The league is not to be blamed. People blame the ISL. How much have the players निचोड़ के लिया वहां से? Anyway, it's nice discussing, getting on the platform with like-minded and knowledgeable people, man. Great gesture to be doing this today.
No, thanks for you guys for committing to this. Very important to speak on this. And just one thing to add, you know what, Nilanjan, what I said in around those years 2000 when I'm looking at the salaries of the players in the NFL, I said in 2000 your salaries are too high. You know who my friends are who used to always tell me, why are you saying this? We should be getting even more money. Right? And that has been the problem. And we've gone to a level where it's not working anymore. And the question is, who will set the reset button? It sounds easy for fans to say, we will do a reset. Very easy. But who is the person or who are the persons to push that button? To say, you know what, even I am part of the problem, tata bye-bye, I'm going. But I'm installing someone who will do the changes. Will it happen at the AIFF at the management level? Will it happen, as we talked about, at the technical level? Will it happen with the coaches? Will the players themselves realize it? This is part of the biggest problem. It is not at one level. It has to happen at multiple levels. I've seen grassroots coaching in India where I think, you know what, I don't have a coaching degree, but I could do a better job than you guys. Right? That is my concern. The problem, AIFF at the top, yes, at the moment in its current form and structure and leadership is a problem, but the problem is not there alone. That is our real problem. If we don't, someone under one of my tweets today said, oh, you know what, we should copy Japan. I have had the pleasure of seeing the Japanese multiple times over the years. And I always make that comparison. 2004, on the 8th of September, they played a World Cup qualifier in Kolkata. 90,000 people at the Salt Lake Stadium, 5,000 Japanese, brilliant support. And they won 4-0. I saw them 2 years later in Dortmund in a World Cup against a team called Brazil that they beat 3-2 yesterday. They lost 4-1 in Dortmund. But the way the Japanese players, fans, and all of them behaved, there is no other country in the world. So therefore, anyone trying to say, oh, you know what, copy the Japanese model, it will not happen. India is not Japan. The Japanese started the plan. I bring a local example. FC Remscheid, as a second division club in the 80s, had one of the first Japanese players playing for us. Okudera was playing in Cologne and Werder Bremen, and we had one of the first Japanese players playing over here for 2 years, right? So it did not happen by chance, what is there today. The Japanese have been working on this since the 70s, and they formalized their plans in the 90s. And even if we have a theoretical plan tomorrow, Robban had a plan, a very good plan. Lakshya even today, you could use a lot of that, what is written in the plan. We don't implement a plan. I think, Nilanjan, isn't that the biggest problem? Just to end on that point.
Whatever you end, it's lying in the gutter and looking at the stars and doing Viking claps. मेरा favorite dialogue है.
Hiren,
चलो दिल हल्का होता है एटलीस्ट लोगों के साथ लाइक माइंडेड पीपल के साथ बात करने का जिसका कोई एजेंडा नहीं होता. अदरवाइज यू सिट इन योर ओन रूम और नेटफ्लिक्स ही देखते रहो और T20 इंटरनेशनल वुमेन्स वर्ल्ड कप चल रहा है, पाकिस्तान इंग्लैंड वाज फॉलोइंग, वो चल रहा है, वो देखते रहो. बट इट हर्ट्स एंड इट्स गुड मींस बात करने से थोड़ी दिल तो हल्का होता है.
किरण,
आई थिंक सेम जो सबने बोला, डेफिनेटली. बस वही तो, मतलब जो हमारे हाथ में चीज है वो हम कर सकते हैं, जिनके हाथ में जो चीज है वो करना नहीं चाहते तो और तो क्या कर सकते हैं सर. बट डिसअपॉइंटमेंट तो होता है, ऑब्वियसली होता है, बिकॉज एज अ फैन भी आपका जब इतना इन्वेस्टमेंट होता है टाइम का या फिर व्हाटएवर, एंड उसके बाद चीजें चेंज नहीं होती और बार बार चेंज नहीं होती. आप एक बार गलती करो, 2 बार करो, 3 बार करो, समझ में आता है. बार बार सेम चीज अगर रिपीट होती ही जाती है तो फिर तो मतलब वो एक क्या होता है ना कि एक ऐसा पॉइंट आता है कि फिर आपको भी लगता है कि नहीं भाई, जो आपका एक बिलीफ होता है या फिर एक जो सच में एक रियलिस्टिकली पॉसिबल चीज है उसके ऊपर भी आप डाउट होता है.
अरे सीधा बोलो ना, तब तो सीधा बोलो, तब दाल काला नहीं है, दाल पे काला नहीं है, दाल ही काला है. सीधी बोलिए, कोई दाल ही काली है पूरा. 6 साल से जो चल रहा है दाल ही काला है. दाल
ट्रू उसमें कोई डाउट नहीं है सर.
वेल,
सैफ कब है भाई देव वर्ल्ड कप हमारा?
इसी के ऊपर मैंने गाली दिया था आज लाइव में, इसी के ऊपर कि कुछ मैं यहाँ पे बोलूंगा नहीं अभी फिर से. मैंने इसी के ऊपर गाली बोला था कि साला कुछ फैंस आएंगे बीएसटी के कि साफ कब है, इंटरकॉन्टिनेंटल कब है, ट्राई नेशन सीरीज कब है, उनको बस उसी से लेना देना है.
But Hiren, SAF का एक प्रॉब्लम है. There's a huge problem with SAF Cup. I hope some people have seen a little bit of Sri Lanka in the last few months.
हाँ, वो नहीं होगा. साफ भी गया.
I hope they've also seen. Just watch the highlights of Bangladesh against Hong Kong.
Yeah,
just watch those highlights. And even watch Pakistan against Afghanistan yesterday. It was actually a good game. Right? So our problem with SAF is that for the first time in its history, the clear-cut dominance of India, which was there, right? Of course, once in a while, Bangladesh won, Maldives won, and all of that happened. But the danger is if next year SAF happens, other teams might be ahead of us in the pecking order.
100%.
Right? So those are realities. But I also say one thing. I've heard a lot since yesterday. Oh, we shouldn't support. We should boycott. We should do this. We should that. I would always place one request to the people. Do not boycott. Raise questions. Ask questions. Because if you boycott, you are supporting the people who are actually destroying Indian football because nobody's asking a question about it. If we don't discuss, if we don't ask questions, if we don't raise the topics that we've raised in this show, And thank you for that, Nilanjan and Hiren, for coming. We should not stop support Indian football. We need to question it today, tomorrow, day after, even more than we did yesterday and the day before. And push for the right people to come forward. Raise the names. There are good people in the system, but they need to also, some of them need to step up. Some of them are in the exco, as Nilanjan said, they do not speak because they don't want to get those repercussions. Now is the time also for these people to stand up and speak and ask questions, and ask the right questions. They know exactly what it is. And ask questions in regard to this whole tendering process. Are we having a league? And also ask the questions as you as fans. We might not agree on everything. We will not agree on everything. But we're all part of one ecosystem, and that is Indian football. And Indian football is alive today because of all of us. If we are not there, there is no Indian football. So that is, to me, very, 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 very important. And I hope things will change. I like the word, I use the word hope a lot in my lives these days, sadly.
मेरा भी वही हो चुका है. Hope is the let's hope is the most word I use.
Or maybe I should use the word positivity, which our coach used a lot day before yesterday. But we need to keep on supporting, gentlemen. Thank you for joining in.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Lovely.
Follow
Arunfoot.
Follow
Arunfoot.
Bol Dada Bol. Follow us, and guys, it is the way it is. Thanks a lot, and I'll catch you soon. And good night, everyone.